was nothing left. No reason, no conscience, no understanding, even the most rudimentary sense of life and death, of good or evil, right or wrong. I met this 6-year-old child with this blank, pale, emotionless face and the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes. I spent 8 years trying to reach him, and then another 7 trying to keep him locked up, because I realized that what was living behind that boy's eyes was purely and simply evil.
Alright, hello everybody. Thank you for clicking on my Halloween 45 year convention video that I put together. As you see here, this is us just walking through the convention center in the very beginning. They did have some actors out here doing some signings and photos for anybody who wanted to participate in that. And yeah, this isn't even the main part yet. This is just us walking through. But just kind of wanted to touch bases with you guys real quick before we get to the really good stuff on what to expect in this video. I did have to split up this video into 2 different parts. So this is day 1, and then part 2 video will be the after party of day 1 plus the day 2 stuff. So just in case you guys are wondering what's to be expected in this video. So in this one you see a bunch of different panels. You'll see Halloween 78 panel, the Men Behind the Mask panel, and you'll also get to see my little interaction, very nervous interaction I might add, with Danielle Harris. So, you know, as a big fan of Halloween, that was definitely the top of my list of things to do at this convention. But yeah, you'll see a lot of cool stuff. Let's just basically walking around, recording some panel stuff. And then in the day 2 video is where I got to meet James, Jude, Courtney. Did some more walking around stuff, did some more panel stuff. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you for clicking on the video. Feel free to share, like, subscribe, and all that good stuff. And yeah, if you guys, anybody wants to comment, ask questions or anything, I'll be on the lookout, and I'll be sure to answer those on my YouTube channel. So thanks again for watching this video, for checking it out. It means a lot to me, and I hope you guys enjoy.
Thorn pin. It's like $10, but I don't know what it looks like. If you want to ask them. Oh, it's right here. It's right here. I look like a New Nightmare one too over there. Some cool shirts. That's awesome.
Look at that. It's like all mint. Make an awesome display, man.
Yeah. What's the price on that one?
That one's 40.
Oh, okay. I was just curious.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking for like the first 3 Child's Plays on VHS. I can never find them.
They're probably pricey.
Yeah,
Probably
yeah.
go for like about 80.
Yeah, I can imagine for sure.
Child's Play just got just went nuts.
Yeah, yeah.
It's all about the trilogy or whatever.
Oh, nice. Oh, the books. Oh, yeah.
Fog signed by Atchison. These are from Dennis Atchison's collection. He wrote the books as Jack Martin.
Oh, wow.
I'm just glad you guys have different
Oh, thank you.
Everyone's cash out there.
Yeah, I mean it makes sense. I mean when those folks over there, they
That's cool. It's like the VHS.
I might have like think about that for sure.
Yeah, which one is that? Oh, is that for the? Oh, it is.
Never Hike Alone.
Oh, it is. Wow, dude, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
For Never Hike Alone 2 coming out in October.
you can put a both on that one.
Thank you, John. Thank you. There's a new exclusive, new trailer coming out. We're showing it here exclusively first.
Oh, nice.
And it's amazing. It intercuts scenes from the actual series with Never Hike Alone. So it's an amazing trailer.
What time are you going to show it?
It's actually just going to be looping all day.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So we can turn up the volume.
And it's not going to air publicly till the Tuesday before Friday the 13th. So I think it's like the 10th.
Oh, nice.
So a lot of it's like a lead up of like what reminds people of Friday the 13th, and then how Never Hike Alone ties in, and we snuck in a bunch of new footage.
Nice. Okay.
And how many do you guys have? Do you know how many you have, like roughly, or
How many do we have?
the
in-
vinyls?
We only have about 4 or 5 left.
Oh, okay.
And the other 130 on the campaign sold out.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
And these are the only ones that are signed by everybody here: Tom Matthews, Andrew Lady, Adam, the artist, the composer, and myself.
Oh, and that comes with all of the copies?
Yeah. So
Okay,
you get the
gotcha.
slip cover that comes. So it's basically
yeah.
all that comes.
Okay, cool.
How many of you know the story already? Raise your hand. Most people in here already know. Do you want to tell it to each other? Or what? I can repeat it again. I met the producer and the director on Escape from New York with Kurt Russell, who I had the fortunate opportunity to double for 25 years, and it was because of him that's actually I got the part. Because when that movie finished, Deborah Hill called me to be a stunt coordinator on part 3. Was it part 3? No, part 2. Part 2. I forget. You know, they all go together. Anyway, I went and met her, and she said, "You got to meet the director, Rick Rosenthal, who's here, and you ought to get his autograph, by the way."
Nobody seemed to know the answer. You know, it's like, okay, whatever. You know, I'd be seeing the house that we filmed in was an older house, but you could go out one door, come around, and come back in. And so, in the one scene, I go out as Michael, reach for the door, you see the tattoo, right? And then the man in black, they put the coat on me and the hat, and I walk out and you see the tattoo again. You know, and there was, you know, kicking the dog. I said, you know, if you kick a dog, everybody's going to hate you. So that's what they put that in the film too. But I don't know, it was fun to do.
For James and for our other new Michaels, from the newest trilogy, talk about that unit that you guys had working together, collaborating. Like, how'd you guys work it out? Who did what as far as the stunts and, you know?
As far as, well, I mean, I'm blessed to have, like these gentlemen all up here, to have had a career as an actor and a stuntman. So it's really, and back in the day, I think Dick and some of the guys will tell you that back in the day we were neither fish nor fowl. So you really didn't get the opportunity, back in the 80s and the 90s to really explore yourself as an actor or really explore yourself as a stuntman if you were doing both. But now it's become more of a prized possession to be able to go deep in a mode and to have the physical skills to do the stunts. Pretty much with these movies, for me, being doubled on a stair fall in 18, jumping off the SUV in Kills, and then Doug and Cody, and then in Halloween Ends, Aaron Armstrong was doubling me, and that it was pretty much when I couldn't, like, for instance, they couldn't lose me on the stair fall. They hurt, and you can lose a guy in the middle of a show. When Doug jumped off the SUV, he sprained his ankle, and that's what they didn't want. They didn't want me to sprain my ankle. So I'm really grateful those gentlemen were there. Aaron had figured out the way I move. One of the reasons is because of the many martial arts he and I have done. Aikido informs the way we move. It's a very unique way of moving. We have support for those of us who've worked around us. So anytime we lose one of this fraternity, it's really a sad thing, and it makes you realize more and more how precious time in life is. And so for me personally, I'm grateful to have met him before he passed and to have been able to carry on the legacy of what he and all these other gentlemen have created.
I knew George very well. Dick Warlock and I are members of the Stuntman Association. In fact, he brought me in to do the Michael, to do the Jason character. But I knew George. I went to his memorial too. I knew him pretty well. I knew him for years and years. In fact, his kids were in grammar school when we went and did a career day and talked about stunt work and being stunt guys. George, and it's not George Wilbur, it's George P. Wilbur. George P. Wilbur. Yes, you got to remember that. He always said George P. Wilbur. But he's a great guy. He had a great career, and just like James says, we all really miss him. We all knew him, and we thought a lot about George.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that Dick Warlock and Tom and I, we were all in the Stuntmen's Association at the same time with George. So it wasn't just Halloween, we actually got to work with George on a lot of different films over the years. He's just a super humble, nice guy and a hell of a stuntman. We're gonna miss him.
He's also the only one with his own Family Guy episode, as far as I know. You guys seen that? That's the most surreal thing I've ever seen.
You know, Tom, I haven't seen you in a mask since you went under the stage name George P. Wilbur.
Oh, Joyce, you know we don't talk about that on the air.
Oh, my God. Did she just say that George P. Wilbur was Tom Tucker's stage name?
Who the hell is George P. Wilbur?
That's the guy who played Michael Myers in Halloween 4, the greatest movie of all time. I've only seen that movie about 1,000 times. How could I not have noticed that?
Good evening, I'm Michael Myers. I have enormous psychological problems, and I'm going to take them out on you.
It is him. I can't believe it. I mean, that's like my favorite movie ever. Hey, excuse me, Mr. Tucker, you got a second?
Oh, hello, Peter. Sure, come on in.
Thanks. Hey, listen, I just found out that you were the guy who played Michael Myers in Halloween 4, and I just want to say I think that was the most brilliant performance ever in the history of everything, and I wanted to see if you would sign my DVD.
Oh, I suppose.
Thanks.
I don't think I want to get involved with that. And it was about a year later that I got a call from Tony Timpone from Fangoria Magazine inviting me to come down to LAX, to the airport here, and do my first con years ago. So anyway, that's how I got started doing cons. Well, I ran into Wilbur at the stunt office, and we got to talking, and I knew he'd done part 4, and so I asked him, I said, did you ever watch the first 2 films? And he said, I don't care what the hell you guys did. So that's my Wilbur story. I mean, I love the guy. He's a great guy. I knew him for years, actually. So anyway, that's my George story.
Is that true?
Yeah, there was a scene there, he played the orderly and I chased him down the hall, chasing after Paul Rudd, and they closed the gate on him, and I got to push his head through the bars, and then the whole bars fall in it. And initially we did that, and they used a piece of meat that went through, you won't see on the movie, but there was actually a piece of meat that fell with chunks. But I guess it was a little too gross to use on the movie. But one of the fun parts was working with my dad over the years, because he's a retired, he was a stuntman too, was many a times I got to kick his ass, and many a times he got to kick my ass on a lot of different shows. So the payback was a bitch, and when he was underneath the bars, I purposely stepped on him, and then I kept going.
Did you guys keep like a tally? No, did you guys keep like a tally? Who killed who more? Who got to kick whose ass more?
I think I killed him more than he killed me over the years.
A hero to every adolescent young man watching the Halloween series. We saw Mr. Courtney's head be very definitively crushed last year. There wasn't a paramedic this time. They had the mask off. The Haddonfield PD let Lori keep the mask for some reason. That was your head. You're dead. But Michael will be back. I think we can all agree. There's currently a bidding war, I guess, for the series. So for each and every one of you, not that we want any of you, we'd love to have all of you back, of course, but assuming it's some newer stuntman or actor to take over the role, what's some advice you would give him or her? I don't know. Advice for another Michael. If there's another Michael out there that they keep the series going. Advice for anyone taking the
Keep your mouth shut.
If they come to you for the role, just tell them you're not available and you can give them my phone number.
That's it. Only 2 pieces of advice. Oh man, they're fucked. I am gonna turn it over to you guys for a few questions. We do have another panel at 1, so we can't go too long.
Oh my God! Look, there's the motel, the perfect little thing, and it's doing right next to an antique gas station. Perfect. And we come around the corner, and there's a factory. Well, lightning struck twice. It was everything we needed for the principal locations of the movie, all in Little Lolita. And that's how we picked it.
So I wanted to ask about, for Stacey and Tom, I've seen this film with a crowd a few times now, and without a doubt, the biggest applause the movie gets is, where would you like to sleep, Mr. Thomas? That's a very dumb question, Mr. So I was just curious about shooting that scene.
Well, we didn't make those lines up. They were written, it was part of the script, and it wasn't, at least, thank God, the first scene we shot together. It was...
close to it.
Close. And...
do my best, but seeing you guys all here is super exciting and fun. Thank you for coming. 20 years, 5 conventions later, man, this is crazy, but this is why we do it as you guys, and it's so lovely to meet. I mean, we got the best fans, bar none, Halloween fans. And so, of course, something like this takes a lot of work, and I think that's why I decided to do it every 5 years, because it takes that long to forget how much work. But there's a lot of people to thank. So real quickly, Horror Hound, give it up for those guys that you knocked out of the park. And my team at Trancas, Tom Malek Akkad, Hunter, and anyway, and Ryan Freeman, executive producer, he killed it for this thing. So. And it makes it all worthwhile to be here and celebrating this all with you guys. So thank you again. Am I missing anybody? Well, the fun story is 20 years ago, internet wasn't what it was. I was working in Trancas, and these guys came to me and said, we want to do a convention. And my thought, to be honest, was it was going to be those guys and 10 of their friends in a little ballroom hanging out. That was 25 Years of Terror, came out on DVD. You guys, anyone who was here at that one? You all deserve a free shirt, come see me. Anyone who can prove they were there, you get a free shirt, come see me. And this guy, we were shocked. And so really like the films, like everything we do, it's all about you guys and the Halloween fam. So that's, I guess, my preamble, my little tired preamble. So, thanks for coming.
And I'll start with the second disclaimer, just saying, yes, he did get back at 4 a.m. in the morning, and I can vouch for it, so I'm going to do my best here, and I apologize, I speak English, so it may take a while to get through. So what we're going to basically do, we're going to look at the Halloween story from the perspective of someone who's really been inside it from the beginning in different ways, and we're going to look at where that takes us to today. And specifically, we're going to focus on Malek Akkad, his father, who really is one of the reasons that we're all here today. So I think it's a time to celebrate that. And we all know the beginning story, don't we? The 300,000, the babysitter connected. We don't really ever talk about the story beyond that. So that's what we're going to look at. We're not really going to go over the things We're going to look a bit more onto that, into the future from there. But first, yes, do you want to just start with a little background on really what was happening with your father before Halloween landed?
I mean, I can go on and on about my father. In fact, I'm working, but he is always with me, and I feel his push on my shoulder in everything we do.
When Halloween landed, what was it like for you? I mean, you were obviously, young, and this amazing behemoth of an experience lands on the doorstep. How did that change your life?
Well, just like Halloween 1, I was around 9, I think, and I got the tapes. I can't remember pneumatic tapes, or so I got to torture all the kids in my neighborhood, literally torture them. I'd put on the mask, and they'd be sleeping, and I'd knock on the window with a knife, and they were terrified by me. So that was fun. Halloween 2, spent some time on set. Got to meet the great Dick Warlock, fall in love with the great Jamie Lee Curtis. And she was so wonderful to me, let me just follow her around. 3, I remember reading the script and going, where's Michael? And didn't really have much connection with that. And that's kind of where it stopped for a long time. And then really the giant move, in my opinion, was when my father said, we're going to bring him back. Everyone thought he was crazy. I remember that. I was 17 at the time. And he just said, why can't we bring him back? And so he, again, self-financed and distributed that movie, and it was #1 2 weeks in a row. Galaxy Releasing, it was called. Anyone ever heard that name? It's called Galaxy Releasing. And they did 4, and then they started doing a bunch of other small films that didn't quite have success. I was a PA on 4. That was fun. Being a PA is a lot more fun than being a producer, because you work 16 hours and you go have some drinks with the boys and you don't care about much. But 4 was a great experience. 5, zero involvement with 5. I was not involved at all. But in a way, 5 and the other films, it sort of was the end of Galaxy Releasing, and it kind of went belly up. So that's when I needed a job. I was about 26, and I just was around, and so I started moving boxes, cleaning up the offices. I had a 12-person office, didn't know any of them. I had to clean up, get rid of desks, and as I was doing this, getting day laborers and trucks, I would just go through the contracts. I just knew what everybody was paid and what, it was crazy. Galaxy could have been really big. Fortunately, it wasn't. And so I just started going into Trancas, which really had nothing. No rights to anything, no involvement, and I just kind of went in and took over. And that was crazy, but I guess that's where we're going with this. I don't know. So after 5 was kind of an end in what would have happened. So I started working in Trancas, doing whatever I could, and then 6, 7 years after 5, John Carpenter, New Line, you guys probably know the story, they were gonna bid on it, and now I'm running whatever little company Trancas is, and I saw that, and I went to my father, and I just said, we got a bid on this, what are we doing? And he lovingly said, no, let them do it, let them do it. So this may upset some of you, because that could have been the New Line Carpenter film at the time, and I just said, no, we have to bid, and I didn't really know what I was doing. A couple calls later through friends and film school associates, I get on the assistant of Bob Weinstein, and I get on the phone with Bob Weinstein, and I explain it to him as quickly as I could, and his famous quote to me was, Malek, I want to be in the Halloween business. And so that was a big turn, and so we did get the bid, and we were in the Halloween business. What can I tell you? And so that changed a lot of things, obviously. So just kind of rambling a little bit. Another funny story, so I negotiated this deal with Bob, and now I have to, just the last thing is get him on the phone with my father. That's the last thing. And it's a great moment. He puts him on speaker. My father was such a classy guy. And they go, and Bob says, Mustafa, it's fucking great. And my father tells him, Bob, we don't need to speak like that. And I had been dealing with him for 2 months now, so I was used to it. I was thinking, oh no. And okay, Mustafa, well fuck, my father hangs up on him. And that was my reaction, sitting across the edge, And this was my father's kind of Jedi moment. He just watched. He just kind of waved me off, and I'm freaking out. 2 minutes later, calls me, Mustafa, what happened? Bob, I told you, we don't need to speak that way. Okay. 30 seconds later, it's fucking click. Twice in a row, it was just unbelievable. I'm freaking out, just watch. And sure enough, he calls back, and they had a minute conversation with no swear words, and that was it. So that was very fun. So that started the very interesting Weinstein association that went on for many years.
Long time. It seems after every sort of up there is a down, isn't it? You've got the 1 and 2, then 3. As much as, I'm sure everyone here actually loves 3 now. For a long time, that didn't have the audience. 4 was a hit, then 5 took it back down again. It's very much a roller coaster. So then 6, interesting, obviously, with the first time you've got the studio involvement. How did that play out behind the scenes?
Well, to be fair, I was a little over my head, and those guys are steamrollers. But it was a new start. Went out to Utah again, and I think everyone's got their feelings about 6 and the producer's cut and all that craziness. But I will say that when the Weinsteins got bought by, Miramax got bought by Disney, and we were able to do a proper budgeted film for once, and shot it in LA, H2O, got Jamie back, and then so that was, very proud, happy with the way that turned out. And started working with Jamie, the great Jamie again.
And then you got Resurrection, so we carried on the pattern.
Resurrection. Well, the pattern with that studio is we would do one film, it would do great. You'll see the pattern. Do a proper budget, does great, and then immediately they say, well, for the next one, you have to do it for half as much. What? So that one was great, and so now I had to go to Vancouver, try and figure out how to do a film for half as much.
okay, Bob. So that was Resurrection. I had a great time in Vancouver. It was wonderful. Busta Rhymes. Yes, I know the karate, kung fu everyone talks about, but I love that man to death. He was wonderful to work with. And the fun story about Resurrection. So we were on the rooftop scene, Jamie's death, and I told her, I said, Jamie, just let's make it kind of blurry, maybe you walk away, let's leave it open-ended. And she said, Malek, I've done 4 Halloweens and that's it. So I said, okay. And, but that was really cool because when she was hanging, we're all on set, she's hanging next to Michael, and she said, I should kiss him. And that's the kind of cool, I still think about that. It's the kind of cool stuff Jamie does on set, and she's so amazing. So she came up with that. We were standing there. We were just like, yeah, kiss him. And so anyway, never say never out of Jamie. But we'll get to that. So yeah, that's Resurrection. And then somewhere in there, Halloween 1. So I never thought I'd do 9 films. I never thought it's crazy. Now Halloween 1 was being done completely by another company, and just finally had to say, they're ripping us off, like anyone would. Long story short, we had to go after them. They didn't have the money, and all of a sudden, we got the rights back to it. So now, that's probably not better. Is that better? I don't know. Anyway, so we got the rights back to 1, and so now we're producing them, and me, and we're doing Halloween 1, and Halloween 1 wasn't really doing anything, so now that's a lot to take on. And here we are, 30 years later, and dealing with people like the great John Carpenter, Jamie Lee Curtis, and these people. So we got that, and all of a sudden Halloween just took over my life.
So after Resurrection then?
Yeah.
There was the limbo period, wasn't there? We had lots of iterations or rumours, Halloween 9, and also another Halloween 9.
Yeah.
What happened in that period, and what led to the decision to not go 9 and to start the ball rolling again?
Yeah, well, we were trying to do a 9, to be honest. It was just getting really difficult with the storylines. Who's a relative, it just got a little hard. And so we were trying to do 9. Didn't quite have a solid direction, and then many of you know the accident with my father, which just threw my life, of course, in turmoil. And it was one of those moments that I do give Bob credit for, because I just called him and said, Bob, I can't even think about anything else for the next 6-9 months, something like that. When I went back to him, though, another thing I give him credit for is I just said, that's got to be the Mustafa Akkad era. We're starting new. We need a big budget. We're going big. And he got it, and he agreed. And I'd also give him credit for bringing Rob Zombie. So that was a wonderful production here in LA, full, good budget, like one of the best productions I've worked on, just a breeze, and everyone on that film was fantastic, and I'm very, I don't like to use the word proud, but I guess that's a big moment in my career, was that Halloween, where first with Rob Zombie, just amazing. And then here's the pattern. Bob Weinstein says, okay, the next one you get half as much money. And I'm learning my lesson, because it's going to come up later, but I still, okay. So this time I take it, the next one, we take it to Georgia, and we do it obviously cheaper, and we had a lot of problems. We had some difficulties on that one. But that was kind of the return. It was significant to say, hey, Halloween's still here, and we did those two, and it was, I like those movies a lot.
I'm a big fan, particularly the second one, as you know.
Yeah.
So, but yes. So in a way then, you've got almost different continuities developing. What led to the decision then? Obviously you have the period in limbo again, after Halloween 2. Let's actually look at that first. What happened before we get Blumhouse involved? We've got all that period after with lots of attempts like Halloween Returns and scripts in the ether. Rumours of filming in Eastern Europe for Haddonfield. Half the budget.
Yeah, you guys know a lot of the stories better than me at this point, but I call it sort of the 6 years of attrition, because we couldn't agree. And there there were starts and stops, and there was Halloween 3D. We were fully crewed up, almost, a crew in Shreveport, and I was a week away from flying down to meet my crew. And Bob pulled we're moving too fast. Okay. So that didn't happen. And over those 6 years, there were stops and starts, and some great filmmakers I wanted to work with didn't get the chance, and some horrible pitches. Someday I'm gonna publish these pitches that were so bad. The point of it all was I was, for 6 years, saying no, resisting this. And at the end, it became, we had Halloween Returns. And we finally get a script, we got to the end. He said, Bob Weinstein again, you're gonna do it for 7.2, just a random number. Have you read the script? Yeah. So I did 3 budgets. First started in Louisiana, full budget, full crew. We're at 8.5 or something. And no, it's gotta be 7.2. Go to Bulgaria. Bulgaria. The most iconic Americana horror film of all time. I said, not going to Bulgaria, Bob. Okay. So then I did a budget in upstate New York. And I got, unbelievably, to get closer now, I think I was right around 8. No, it's gotta be 7.2. Okay. And then he said, what about Serbia? Serbia, I'm not going to Serbia, Bob. Malek, I can't send you a ticket, go tomorrow. Okay, I'm not going to Serbia. Now, the thing about it is, if I just wanted a job, I would have gone, okay, fine, let's go to Serbia. No, it was just the wrong thing. So now, he said, I'm going to have them do a budget in Serbia. And guess what? The budget came exactly 7.2. It was unbelievable, crazy talk. And they had about $1 million just for construction. They were going to take Eastern European streets and try and build Haddonfield and pay slave labor wages. So now I went back to good old Utah, right to work state, and I think I ended up about $300,000 apart. 7.2, I can do it in the US for 7.5. I said, Bob, it's $300,000, it's Halloween, you know? And he said, yeah, but I gotta write the check. So we didn't agree, and this is going on, and that's the period that I just was just saying no, no, no. And then, funny thing happened, there was a ticking clock, and they were about to lose it. So it gets interesting at that point.
And how did you get it?
Well, if we're allowed to ask these questions, because I remember I was going to the Saturn Awards, I get a call on a Friday, and it's Bob. He said, Malek, I'm sorry to do his accent, everyone does it. Everyone does it. But Malek, I'm gonna put someone in the Michael Myers mask and have them shoot around Hollywood. And I knew it, he's trying to start physical production, we call it. He's trying to say that he started filming. And so now I know what's going on. And I learned my lesson about doing half the budget, so I'm just waiting him out, and I just said, Bob, that's silly. And lo and behold, there was a ticking clock on them that they didn't start production. So we stopped that, and he said, well, he was not serious about it. Long story short, we waited out the ticking clock, and I got in touch with Miramax, who at the time was only 3 people, employees. There was nobody working at Miramax. Really wonderful people, though, just a small team, and I was in touch with them very closely, and Ryan and I, and we were just hold firm, because Bob's gonna offer anything he can. He's gonna try and get this, and Bob's assistant was telling me, don't worry, Bob will get it. So we were just like this, And finally, I think it was about a month later, get the call, they were out for good. Pop off. And I have a little bar in my office. I've never used it, but it's cute little. And that day, I think I called everyone in and we did a shot, and we're like, yes! Hallelujah! And this is, I credit to some guardian angels I have, I guess, because that was incredible. And everyone knows what happened later. And Halloween as a franchise would have been sinking on the Titanic that was. And that was like 6 months later that scandal broke. It was a miracle that we got out. And so then my first call was to create John Carpenter to visit. I went over to John. For some reason, the Weinsteins didn't want to work with John. That kind of annoyed me. So he was the first guy I went to. John, you're involved, whatever, however this turns out. And John, the legend, the Maverick, said, okay. I fucking love that guy. And then Jamie texted me herself and she says, is it time for Laurie Strode to come back? Wow. So I have those in my pocket, and Miramax is a company that's just not able to do this. So now the conversation came, well, who do we partner with? And thus the partnership with Blumhouse.
How did you determine the direction on that?
I mean, simply it was, Miramax couldn't finance or distribute, they just weren't of that size. So now we were looking at other studios that could, and at the time, of course, and you know, for good reason, Jason, legendary horror producer, I mean, that guy's killing it. So it made sense, and he had to deal with Universal. So, you know, it made a lot of sense. And I have to say, the credit to him and Universal, they got it. I said, you can't do a cheapo, you know, those are just struggles. You know, we got a good budget, we got John, we got Jamie, let's do it right, and I do give them credit for seeing that vision. And they got behind it big time, and that's kind of where we're at now.
And it's bigger than ever.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Something I would add to that. 20 years ago, Anthony Massey sat on the stage in the building over there with your father, and he looked out and he was sort of, wow, because it was the first time we'd seen that interaction with them, and he was overwhelmed at the crowd.
And me, myself, seeing that crowd and seeing the crowd we have now, I think he'd be very proud of you. So I think you should know that. So.
Yeah, it's interesting relationship with that great man. I wasn't that close to him growing up. I'm a West LA guy. I wanted to surf and play in rock bands. And he's a very dignified man from Aleppo, Syria. And so, you know, but when we did start working together, that's kind of when we rekindled it was like a colleague, but also my father. So we rekindled it through Halloween in a way. And like I said, I've been working on this documentary. We're going to show a clip, and I think as Halloween fans, I don't know how much of you guys know this incredible story of what he went through, and that the sort of one reason kind of why we're all here. So, yeah. And we should have questions. We have, you know, sorry my rambling. It's like, what time is it? But it's just happy to see all you guys here. And that's now these 3 films, thanks to you guys, have done really well, and so now we're at another turning point. And man, you know, I will say this: with a lot of great help, we did 3 rather ambitious films in 5 years through a pandemic, and I don't have a black hair left on my head. So that's, you know, kudos to all the amazing people. It's tricky, and it's just there. We had the best crew. I mean, just David Gordon. It was all a pleasure, but the struggle at the same time. Oh, again, no, we're not taking pictures. No. Believe me, I've heard that one, and I've heard 1,000 others. Oh boy, I'll tell you. Here's a fun one I heard.
Do you need to pitch first? I've got a pitch here to tell you though. I think we're going to hear this. 1 second.
No, go ahead.
No.
Here's one. I've heard unbelievably horrible pitches, just the worst. But here's one that I remember, and I don't even want to say who it was from. But anyway, it was called Halloween Bloodlines, and Laurie Strode donates her blood. See where it's going? And anyone who received her blood, Michael's going after. That call lasted as long as that. No. know, there's just so many. But anyway, so sorry to cut you off, sir. The next part, sorry. And I will say, along with my great team, you know, we've kept Michael Myers out of a lot of junk. There was a tie-in with Dr. Pepper. There was a tie-in with Mitsubishi, the TV. There's lots that get thrown at us, and we're just like, that's horrible. So one of them was, another fun pitch was Michael versus Hellraiser, and probably a lot of you know about that one. And it was on the heels of Freddy Jason, and oh, that was a tough one. Not for me, but there was a fight. Come on now, I'm gonna do it. You guys can guess who that was. Come on now, I'm gonna do it. I'm like, well, Freddy, I mean, Michael had Pinhead, come on. I said, absolutely not. Michael is here, and of course I'm biased. And so that was another big no, and another, during that period of just saying no to a lot of bad pitches. So anyway, anyone else go forward?
We'll just jump up to the front. Let's do it from this, so we don't have to shout across the room and hope for the best.
Yeah, right on.
All right, you sir.
Mine's real quick and easy. I was just curious with the popularity of video games lately, especially horror movie video games. Was there any ideas or thoughts or interest in that?
Absolutely. Good questions asked about video games. We have a lot of stuff lined up, guys, and part of my superstition is I don't like to talk too much about it before it happens. But let me just say, as Halloween fans, it's going to be a fun couple years.
My question for you is Halloween 1 through 4 has gotten novelizations. I was wondering if I could get follow on 5, 6, and H2O, and something wrong with that. Even if they're limited edition runs.
Right. It's an idea. It's not a major attention for us right now, but it's an idea.
And then for you, I was going to ask, can you talk about the first set of Lord Stone 3 and the Market Thorn storylines, and any chance for those?
Nice Thorn.
I was about to say, man representing there.
If you can ever bring it back, even for just a little bit, that would be great.
I will say, because we're focusing on that one, come and see me at my table and I will talk your ear off. How about that? There we go.
They are great. And then anything you can say about the bidding wars or what's next, whether it's TV or movie?
What wars?
Bidding wars, Halloween.
That was interesting.
And also one more. So there's a petition online with like 400,000 signatures for Aaron Armstrong to be the next Michael Myers.
Okay.
I don't know if you know about that, but like that would
I don't.
be absolutely incredible. It's like at like 410,000.
Okay. Right now. You guys like Aaron Rodgers? Aaron Rodgers, the quarterback?
Oh my God.
I would love to work with Aaron Rodgers.
He made me fan a flashback from Philly.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Sorry, that was totally my
Yeah, I sort of stay out of that online world a bit. I loved all the interaction back and forth, so I don't know about that. Petition returns. It is a solid script. That's not going to be the next one up. I could say, at least say that much. Yeah, I can't say, that's always hard for me because I can't really talk too much about things. It was fun at the premiere though, because I got to stand there between Jason Blum and Bill Block, and behind me, Halloween Ends, gigantic. And I said, everyone's asking me, Malek, does it end? Is it ending? And I said, well, look, we put it in the title. It ends. But I think you guys all get that. Thank you.
Anyway, coming up right now, you pick the name, Piggy D.
Hey, everybody. Excuse me, people of age. I met him 15 years ago. I was told there was nothing left. No reason, no conscience, no understanding in even the most rudimentary sense. Life or death, good or evil, right or wrong. I met this
6-year-old child with this blank, pale, motionless face. And
the blackest eyes. Devil's eyes.
there you go. I spent 8 years trying to reach him and another 7 trying to keep him locked up because I realized what was living behind that boy's eyes was purely and simply evil. There we go. Welcome home, everybody. If I had $1 for every time I drove around this town smoking a joint listening to Blue Oyster Cult, I could buy you all a thorn tattoo. So this is who I am, and this is who you are. We love this town, and we love this holiday, and we sure as hell love this movie. Woo! It's the perfect embodiment of everything that represents the holiday. There's something about the way evil is personified in this film that is completely timeless. Sadly, the synopsis of this movie reads like a CNN headline these days, but there's an underlying mythology, even in the simplicity of the story, that keeps us coming back for more every year. And we all showed up today for it. I'm very honored to introduce this cast today, and I want to hear you guys tear the roof off this place as we bring them up, okay?
Yes!
She totally impressed us with her famous squeal. The beautiful, beautiful. And how about the gorgeous, sharp-witted sheriff's daughter, Nancy Umiskai. Thank you for being here, Nancy. Due to the magic of editing, not only did he make love to Linda in about a minute and a half, but he stuck around in the kitchen for a while. That's my only dad joke. Ladies and gentlemen, John Michael Graham. Yeah, here's a guy that made children in clown costumes horrifying until the end of time. Ladies and gentlemen, Will Sandin. Now, her brave performance reminded us all that nudity in horror films will be the first thing that's punished. And her headstone was apparently light enough to carry across town and up some stairs. The gorgeous Sandy Johnson. Are we missing someone? I think we're gonna need one more chair. Now this man needs no introduction. The OG Boogeyman. There's only one of them. From the band The Coupe de Villes, ladies and gentlemen, Nick Castle. Before we get into this, actually, I just want to do one thing. There's a guy that's tied this community together for years. Some of you were stuck on a bus with him yesterday. Today happens to be his birthday. We're going to sing happy birthday to the one and only King of Horror, Sean Clark. Ready? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Sean. Happy birthday to you. He's 95 years old today. Let's hope he makes it to the 50th.
We love you, Sean!
Go get a nap. Really doesn't be fun. So I'm gonna shut up. I wanna go down the line and I wanna hear from every one of you. Nick, we'll start with you. How you got involved in the first movie and a little bit of your experience.
All right. I was a classmate of John Carpenter's in 1967, 68. That makes me 812. What is it?
Good man.
At the University of Southern California Film School, so we were film department mates, made movies together. I was the Beach Ball Monster in Dark Star, if anybody ever saw that. You should, by the way, John Carpenter fans should go back and take a look at that if you haven't seen it already. It's pretty hilarious. And then when John was doing this movie, you know, he kind of got off. Oh, everyone wanted to be a writer-director. He managed to figure it out first. And when he was shooting this down in near Laurel Canyon, some of you probably went by those houses yesterday, as a matter of fact. I lived pretty close to there and went down to the set before he started filming and said, I'm gonna hang out. Because, you know, when I become a director, then I'll have this tucked in my experience belt. And he said, well, just, yeah, okay. Well, why don't you be this guy then? Here's this mask, put it on, and you'll walk around, kill people, and you'll be here the whole time. And I'm like, sounds good. 45 years later.
Well, as a young actress, of course, we go up for auditions, and I had already been in Carrie, and I think, and John obviously had seen it, and so he asked me to come in and audition, and usually you read with the casting person, but I read with John, and afterwards, when I finished the scene that I read with him, he said, do you want to do this part? And I went, absolutely. I should have said totally. Well, I did say, why did you pick me? And he said, because you're the only one that read the word totally right. And I said, well, how else would you say it? And he said, well, that's why you got the part. And then he asked me to wait and to help him select the three guys, someone to play my boyfriend. And I fell in love with John Michael Graham, and I said, he's my Bob.
Well, I was in the movie that John made in between Dark Star and Halloween, and that was Assault on Precinct 13. And so John, in his in the way that John is so incredibly sort of efficient, let's not waste anybody's time, you know, giving you the part immediately. He gave me the part immediately. It's like, okay, on to the next thing I have to check off my list. And I was really thrilled with that. I thought that was great. And the only thing that I regret about the whole thing is that I died in Assault on Precinct 13, and I guess John was impressed with that. So I also died in this movie in Halloween.
Well, I was not given the part instantly. I was a young actor also, and went back for audition after audition, and luckily PJ finally came in, and
that's why I'm here. Thank you. And my girlfriend, PJ, who's the best. You all know that.
I was 7 years old. I did a couple commercials and some print. Then I auditioned for the role of Tommy Doyle. Got a call back, read one of the lines. Then they asked me to do a scary face. Next day, they said you got the job, and that was pretty much it. I showed up on a Friday, filmed that to the scene. I was there all day. Once it got to nighttime, we shot the scene and took about 5 or 10 takes, and then that was it. 6 months later, saw the movie, and 45 years later.
Hi there. It's nice to see everybody here. All right, well, I was a model. That's where I started out. And I was a Playboy model. And I was with the Playboy agency, which is how John Carpenter reached out to me. So I came out and I interviewed in one of the houses. I wish I could remember which one. But it was one of the houses that they were filming Halloween in at the same time. And they had me scream and read some lines, and a couple days later, they said I had been cast as Judith Myers, and I am very happy that that happened.
So, Sandy, since you're there, what was your impression of the film the first time you saw it? What was your impression of the film the first time you saw it?
Well, the interesting thing was, unlike everybody else there, I didn't have the full script. So I didn't know the full script. I didn't know that my brother here was going to grow up to be a big masked man and kill everybody. So when I got to our little premiere and saw the film, it scared the hell out of me. So yeah, it was very exciting to see it. It was very scary, and to me it was a total surprise because I had not seen the script. I'd never seen the mask or any of that. So yeah, it was an interesting evening.
Now, Will, can you still do the face?
The face from you mean from that scene?
The face.
Yeah, I guess. He just said, take a blank look, don't look at the camera, and...
There it is. Unforgettable. John, did you have an impression of the film the first time you saw it?
Yeah, I think I've said this a few times, but I thought it was going to be a terrible movie. Because when I was on the set, we filmed the murder scene, and I don't know, I guess I was expecting it to be a big Hollywood film. I don't know why I would think that, but I did. And so, me standing on a box and going like that just felt like, okay. And I've told everybody this, holding the knife under my arm. It's not even attached to anything in my chest, I'm holding it under my arm. Praying that I'm not gonna let the knife drop during a take so that I'd screw it up. So, I just thought, well, this is probably gonna be a bad film and it'll play in drive-ins or something, which happened then. And it would go away. And so this was a shock when I saw the film and thought, this is a decent film. This is a good film. As we've said, I think all of us a billion times, the music in the film makes all the difference in the world. And at the time, the music was a little bit different, something that most people weren't used to. So the whole thing added a great thing to the film. So it was a great experience and quite a shock to me. Still quite a shock to me that this film is a great film.
I'd love to know what your impression was of the first viewing of the movie.
Well, I'm sort of, had a similar experience to you, John, because I remember at the wrap party, we were all joking around. I don't know if you guys remember this. We were all joking around saying, you know what, we're gonna be here and it's gonna be Halloween 20. And we were joking about it, right? You know, wouldn't it, because I guess we were really just so glad that the film was finished at that point. So we were just joking about it and laughing about it. And then when I saw the rough cut, I was really worried. I thought, oh, this movie's kind of flat. I didn't know that much about filmmaking, you know. And then I went to the premiere, and I was terrified. I was horrified, and at the same time, I was so thrilled that it was so scary and really good, and it was because of the soundtrack. I felt like the merging of those the picture and the sound was just astonishing. So it was a lesson for me as a neophyte in the movie business. But I still am not very good at reading a script on the page and imagining the whole thing. So I still have trouble with that, whether it's a play or a movie. So, but anyway, that was my experience.
From the script, I don't think you could tell, really. But at that point in my career, I was most interested in hoping that I would do a good job as an actress and wanted to bring something special to the role. So I put in a few more totallys. But when we did see the first cast and crew screening, I just remember being completely tickled. First of all, at the opening credits with the pumpkin, I thought that was really amazing. And then hearing the music, it just was spine tingling. And I just thought, wow, this is really something. And it made me happy because I really liked John Carpenter and Deborah Hill, and I thought they were such a good team. And I thought, wow, they really put together this very magical movie. But no way did I ever think, wow, this was gonna last 45 years, so. But I'm glad it did, and I'm glad you all still appreciate it and find the magic in it that we felt when we were making it, and obviously it was real.
I don't remember the first time I saw it. Where was the cast and crew screening?
The director, yeah. Was that the director's?
Huh. It didn't make much of an impression on me, obviously. I can't remember seeing it. The first time, I remember reacting to it when the first week it came out, and I went to a screening of the movies in Hollywood just to see how it was playing, and people were, getting scared, and so I called John up and said, "Hey, John, the movie's working." Well, that was what I remember doing, and at the time, I kept thinking, this is a clever Halloween, a movie about called Halloween, on Halloween, a murder on Halloween, all that stuff I thought was clever, babysitters. So you're a friend of the creators, both John, Deborah, and Tommy Lee Wallace, we haven't mentioned yet, who did found and created the mask and is a production designer and co-editor. All these people are close friends of mine, and so you're just hoping against hope that it'll, take them another step towards a career, a real career. And look what happened. That was great.
What did you think of your performance the first time you saw it? Did you think, oh, that's me, or did you really get into that was the shape?
I thought it was either me or Marlon Brando. I can't remember what I thought. I don't remember exactly. I've seen, it's funny, I've seen it since, obviously. Every once in a while I go, let's see. did. But you know, I just remember every time I jumped out of the shadow, so nothing was ever scary for me. And I always felt like it was, you know, who made those scares wasn't Nick Castle, it was really the characterization of that Tommy and everyone came up with, and John, you know, knowing when to pop out of the shadows at the right time. So it's hard to, you know, separate that from my performance.
Does anyone recall anything funny or strange happening on the set while you guys were filming? Was there? I mean, we've all heard the stories about how the leaves were reused, and Tommy had a big task to make it look like fall when it was clearly springtime in Pasadena. But does anyone remember any interesting stories about the day they were on set? Or?
You know, I just remember John telling us to be a little less realistic with our Linda and Bob scene in the bedroom.
That's funny.
But that's it for a second. But I think the way the camera was angled or something, it just, you know, and I was trying to make it look as real as possible. And I think he was kind of like, you know, you might want to sort of tone some of that down.
That's why I chose John.
Will, when did you first realize the impact that this movie had on its audience?
I don't know. I think, well, it helped the name of the movie, Halloween. So once it was released out of the theaters and on cable, which ended up being a couple of years later. Now it's, you know, what, a month later. But once I got on cable, I mean, and then just people that I grew up with, they really loved it. They liked it. They always talked about it. And what made it, I thought that it was going to be big, was that the adults loved it. Like the parents would ask me about it probably more than my friends did. And just every Halloween it played, and people would talk about it, and people would watch it. No matter how many times they saw it, they would see it every October. And then once, I felt once Halloween 2 came out in 1981, I knew it was huge, because automatically when a sequel comes out, you know it's big. And then Halloween 3 came out, different storyline, but it was still Halloween 3. And then just all through the 80s, just, you know, from junior high, high school, friends, and I didn't really mention that I was in it, but they all knew. And they would say, hey, I watched Halloween last night, I saw you. And then I think when Halloween 4 came out, I mean, I think it just exploded into a really, I mean, it was already a big franchise, but I think once Halloween 4 came out in 1988, I think it just exploded, and then it just went from there. It just kept getting bigger and bigger to this day, which is 45th anniversary, and it's still going strong.
Did you? Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, I was gonna get a picture with Danielle. Pictures at 40, please. Okay. That's not good. I'm sure you're good.
I'm like, oops, I don't know what this sound. I could have swore that it was just your phone.
You're welcome. Thank you. Hello. How are you? Oh, sure, sure.
I did listen to your podcast, and I want to let you guys know, like, you guys did a great job.
Thank you. Almost at 100 episodes.
Oh, yes. And so glad to meet you. Thank you. Thanks for being here.